must unite what has been set asunder.
We are TFR. Truth Frequency Radio.
When you finally boil it all down, magic is imagination. We are moving into an age of manifestation. Things become actually less material, more ethereal. The golden dawn is when we awaken to this new station of life. What you think becomes real quicker. Regain our imagination, regain our inner child, and let that inner child out.
My name is Frank Castle, founding member of the music group Ice Click and New York City Neo Shaman. After a serious injury sidelined my career in 2013, I decided to set out on an adventure to search for myself with the help of the plant medicine ayahuasca. What I discovered waiting for me was something I could have never had before. It was time for me to become something more, someone more. It was time I became fearless. Shine as my heart beats a rhythm with space and time. When the light starts to shine inside your third eye, you awake to the knowledge that you never die. What is up, everyone? It's Saturday night. I'm Frank Castle, your Sorcerer Supreme, and I'm joined by some very special guests this evening. First, Paula Milo, Ethereal Translator. Awesomeness, say hi.
Say hi.
Right. I'm joined here by a brother that we'll start the show off even weirder than normal. We're not from here. We're from another place, right?
Hey, I'm Josh.
Hey, Josh, why don't you meet me down on
Earth Game?
Yeah. I'm gonna catch you there.
2017.
And we're gonna make it happen.
Well, that's a funny thing. So I had this conversation with my roommate. Speaking of not being from here, opposite land game, right? Like if you just go backwards, everything makes sense. Kind of like the bad
Bizarre World.
Like if you go backwards in the country song, you get all your shit back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's like the same thing when you descend from the all into illusion or distortion. You're like, okay, it's just like a country song. This shit's easy. All right. It might be hard to drop all the. Oh, look, I already cursed in the first.
You did it twice.
Oh man. I understand why they call it curse too, because you're actually like cursing, like it's actually negative vibes when you say it. Anyway, we'll get back into that. But sorry, too much magic coffee. But what we're talking about, descending into the illusion, like we just going backwards in the sense you're like, okay, so everything is the idea that your consciousness came from matter, even though if you look at even basic modern science, it'll be like, well, no, everything's just vibrating. So nothing comes from matter, everybody, because matter doesn't really exist. It's a frequency. So it's like, okay, really, we're just frequencies.
It's the pixelation in the game.
Yeah.
Right? It's just a high quality pixelation. That's all.
Right. And it's also in music. They have a thing called phase cancellation. Like if you shoot the same you can do this in Pro Tools for anybody who's got the musical gear. You can take a signal and then shoot it at each other and it'll cancel out.
Really?
Yeah. The exact same frequency. So if you're wondering why you can't walk through the wall, it's because of the density we're in. Like you're the same density, and until you change your consciousness, you can't like do the magic trick because you're still operating based off that. That's the dial you're still turned in.
And in comic books, the power is a phase, right? And then you hit the wall, and one guy goes, I can phase through that. And he changes his density,
right? And
he's able to float through the wall and get into the room. It's funny how it works, right?
Well, that's
all the descriptions and everything is right there.
Right, like the old mystery school stuff where you had to, kind of figure out how to get out of your body and do certain things, and then until you could do those things, you couldn't be taught the next thing because you just couldn't fathom it.
Yeah, you just sit there and slap the water till you're prepared,
and
then you could take the next step. But before we take the next step, shout outs to Chris and Cherie. Every show start, we want to send love to them because without them, we wouldn't be here doing what we're doing. Ain't that right?
Woo! That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Saturday night.
Shout outs to everybody in the chat room.
Yes, my chat room folks. I cannot see the chat quotes because I'm sitting in a different spot tonight. So Josh is going to be my eyes.
Absolutely. And don't forget to sign up at TFR.
Get a subscription.
Get the app for your
Get the app.
phone. Get a subscription. There's so many hosts, lots of great shows. Catch up on everything. Don't forget to check out YouTube, my channel, Frank Castle Fearless. Just type that in. It's so great. We got the name, Frank Castle Fearless.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
And rock out. You get the first 12 episodes for free. Make some comments. Click a like. Pass it around. Listen to some Heist Click, HeistClick. That's my music group. If you like the music, just give a listen. And that's pretty much it. Welcome to the now. Oh, really quick. I asked some people to send in some artwork last week. It's already begun. I've got the coolest pictures. I'm going to show Josh while we're doing this. But
What, for a record cover or something?
no, we're going to do the Fearless collection.
Oh, nice.
And the Ohm Society has gotten together with myself, my buddy Serge, Ryan of the Bird Tribe. We're just doing a collection where the artwork that you send in gets put on the clothing and the artist gets paid.
Cool.
Right? So I'm just using my brand to forward other creators in art. And I think it's really great, but we were getting so many submissions. So thank you so much. Keep sending them in. The Real Frankie Fearless at Gmail. And all right, I'm ready to rock and roll. Josh, you the magician.
Yeah.
Tell everybody about this a little bit, because
Okay.
this so they remember you.
Okay.
I want to promote this.
My wife and I wrote a book called You the Magician, and we were telling everybody that it was a kid's book for a long time, but it definitely was not for the kids. It was, the kids already know this stuff. It was just because like you write a total Posicor book that's about remembering you're the thing, choosing what you're doing, and then that's creating your life. And we packaged that in a really simple way. You can go to youthemagician.com and check some stuff out for free. It's basically like a set of mantras with some cool bird pictures. And it took about 2 years to write. Like we would sit down, and I had some things occur where it was like, oh, I kind of had the I guess the oneness cognition started kind of happening in a very sober way. And I was like, oh man, I got to tell everybody they're so rad, and we forgot we're rad. And that's the message. That's it. If there's no rules and there's unconditional love, you're free. And then don't tell me about commandments and stuff like that. You know. So I had to put this in a book. Well, you know, that's the big bonus trick. It's like, you're from unconditional love. Now you're in trouble. It's like, wait. All right. So we put this into a book, and you know, Jody, my wife is Jody, and hey, Jody.
Shout out.
And we would sit down together, and we would write stuff. And if we were not in a good mood, we would both look at each other and be like, nope. So it's coming from a super positive place. I'll let it speak for that. But yeah, if you're looking for a gift for like the kid for Christmas or whatever, or just a reminder to your best friend that they're made of the raddest stuff that could ever exist, because that's all that exists is you.
It's all you.
Yeah, tell people they're rad. So yeah, that's kind of the message of the book. It's like you. All right, so everybody knows in the tarot deck, first cards, we know it's the Fool or the Choice, the 0 card. But the very first guy, the 1 card, is the Magician. You know, you have the 22nd card or it's the 0 card. But the 1 card, the first guy is the Magician. Because if you don't know it's you, then everybody else has the answer somewhere. Maybe, but no.
It's all you. It's
Stop
all
looking
you.
externally
Yeah,
for you.
You know. Yeah. So check that book out.
Nothing
Thanks.
like having Josh on the show and having him blast past the deep end of the pool, right into rocket land. Right.
Well, since we get to hang
Take
out,
me to hyperspace.
I don't have to pretend like we're not thinking about this nonstop. Because the point of the show tonight was about not being able to go back, right? We were talking about that?
Yeah.
Okay. And I think what I get when I come over here and we hang out is I can just hang out. We can just go. Yeah.
Well, what do you call this place? Safe space?
Safe space.
No judgments.
No one. Time is very different here. Everyone is
If you don't
welcome.
allow the space for this to occur,
Yeah.
you're just taking up space,
Yep.
doing nothing.
Everyone's welcome, and no one ever wants to leave. And Frank and I wouldn't want to have it any other way.
Oh, hey, look, I'm going to answer something. They were talking about the blue avians in the book. Yeah.
Sure.
And this is speaking of all this stuff, that's the blue orbs and the blue birds and all this rats and all the bird stuff. This has been coming to me for a long time, long before I heard all the Corey Good stuff. But the bird thing and the book, long before he started talking about that. Yeah, so before the blue avians, so that was a great synchronicity.
Corey's relatively new.
Yeah,
He's
like 2 years or something like that.
Yes, this is
we're going back a little bit, right?
Right. So I mean,
Yeah.
this is we were doing this book long before I even had fathomed, before Corey Good at all.
Here's what I want to bring. I think people like this, so we'll talk about the blue avians a little bit.
Okay.
But you know, when I go under, they say follow the bluebird, follow the bluebird. But the bluebird has been there the whole time. Toth, and Ra and
Mr.
and
Bluebird on
they're
your
all
shoulder.
bluebirded, blue-headed. You know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Because they know
also
the way.
and
That's why they're always depicted as a bird to be followed.
well, we
They
also
know the way.
and birds, freedom, and you know, there's a lot of metaphorical things that work with that. But also, we were talking about the wing makers before.
Yes.
I know we're kind of jumping around a little bit, but every time we got on this topic, I remember I was like, okay, so everything's kind of a weird. There's so many weird bird references everywhere.
The Wingmakers being a reference to a name that would get our attention and make us think of angels who have bird wings.
Right. So why do angels have wings? Like what's, you know, but this is funny too, like all the books, right? You know, you get back and all of them are talking about off-world stuff. They're calling them the heavens, but come on, that's just, the heavens is the sky.
Yeah, it's just up in the air.
So
The heavens
everything is
could
a
have been-
reference to ETs in a sense. That doesn't mean they're not humanoid. It just
Yep.
means it's like, look,
Off planet.
right. Exactly. So, but how do you say that, you know, whatever time period you choose to incarnate in, how do you say that? Like, okay, so I'm coming over to your house. Like, it takes me about an hour and a half to get here, you know, but who else I've got one other person I can kind of talk to about this stuff with, and he's a great buddy. And we do that all the time. And then I come over here with you and it's like, we just get into it really hard.
We have to.
Yeah.
We have to be able to let this stuff out
Yeah.
because this is how we figure out what's going on. I mean, I can have an idea in my head.
Yeah.
And if I don't say anything to anyone, the collective crew can't come together with their version and say, okay, I didn't see that, but I felt this or heard that or I saw this. And you start putting the puzzle piece together. They keep telling me it's not really about the Superman, but it's about the Supermen, the super team that comes together to figure this out. If you're doing it alone, it's cool because it's your pilgrimage, but eventually you have to come on to another creator's level and you guys got to start sorting things out. You know, when I look at you, when I look at Paula, I go right for it because I don't feel those weird restrictors like
Right.
the
no
funny
no
looks.
need to waste
Like,
time.
yeah, you're not allowed to say that.
I told my best buddy the other day. I don't think he's listening, but if he is, good. But he looked at me weird. This is my best, closest friend I grew up with.
Yeah.
We've been through the craziest things, from young men to full-grown adults, and he looked at me weird when I said, "Oh yeah, there's a crew of us. We drink, and then we get information from the beings, and then."
Triangle.
And then, you know, we sorted out with each other. And then the Church of Ayahuasca from Orlando, we're shouting them out. And the Om Society's getting down with us. And he looked at me like I was crazy. And then he thought, cult. I seen it in his face. I know my friend.
Oh, you're drinking the Kool-Aid, right?
But
Yeah.
there's no
Yeah.
Kool-Aid to drink.
No,
See,
I know what I'm just
like,
joking.
We're just
Yeah.
giving the information away. We're not creating... We're creating a safe space to talk about it. We're not inviting everyone in and going, follow my lead.
I know I'm being
Captain.
dramatic, but that's what it's interpreted as. Because
Yes, they look at you
everything
that way.
Well, if we notice, once again, we come back to this opposite idea that everything that's natural, let's say a natural way that we've known for, that in some cases you've been able to kind of trace back, that it's been going on for a long time in shamanic cultures and indigenous cultures, like that they use what they would call power plants, or, you know, whatever nature's helper, you know, the boost, the earth's boost to get there. So we have all these natural things that
Right.
are direct from nature that don't cause addiction. It's not like, I don't know anybody that really wants to eat mushrooms every day.
I couldn't handle
I mean,
it.
like, I understand that's cool, and you get the download and you get popped out and you're like, whoa, rad. But I mean, it's exhausting. Like, we're talking about this too today. Like, for me, like, not going back, I can't turn off the fact that I know I've left my body and I got back in it. You know, I'm like, well, all right, well, there goes the immortal pill. Okay, get that a metaphor. That makes sense. This is all easier than I thought. Everybody's the same. That made a lot of sense. but you can't forget that kind of stuff and then walk around when someone gives you like, or what I feel sometimes when someone says, well, that works like that. I'm like, nope, not in it. You know, like, I'm like, that's one way it works, but not in infinity.
This is all perspectives.
Right. In all opinion, like really.
Every time you root down and say, no, it's like this, I'll find a way where it's not that. But there are some things that just are all the time that until one day it is not.
Right. Well, so you got to have, within whatever construct, you must have a base foundation. Like me and my buddy, when we write songs, we call it the Tron grid.
Yes.
And we'll be like, all right, dude, so I'm going to lay this down on the Tron, and then we're just going to Lego the pieces back and forth and just kind of,
let's explain.
Thing,
From my perspective, that's the sheet that you write the music on that has the lines on it.
Yeah, sure.
Empty.
Yeah.
Right.
There's 4 lines.
Yeah.
4 cars racing in Tron.
Right.
Creating the grid.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want you so they know.
Well,
yes,
and,
the reference has
and
to.
also, like, if you think about a piece, the grid paper.
Yes.
If you just
yes.
If you just think about like that, like I kind of.
Or a checkerboard, just hold it up.
Yeah,
but
we just put math on it.
It's the same thing. It's it all is the chessboard.
Yeah, that's why the Masons have.
It's a variation of the
checkerboard in every one of
chessboard.
the temples. They know they're playing a game.
One of the
game
things that you see under DMT or ayahuasca, one of the first things I saw when the room starts to change, you see the grid.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a second. You can see it in front of you. It looks like just like the chessboard. And I'm like, huh? And you can see under it.
Yep.
And you can see above it.
Above it.
And you go, wait, whoa, whoa. And you start rising up and going through whatever portal you're going to go through. And you pop out in the density, and you could either look down at it from a height or look up from it from below. And I'm like, oh. And everyone's got their own personal one and is on... Like
on a larger chessboard.
Yes,
that
on the
was
outer level.
That was the scariest part for me because I experienced that chessboard.
You saw it
in one of the experiences we had
a light
together.
Just popped off in the room. That was
yeah,
nice.
yeah. There's entities swirling around all over the place here now. But yeah, I was stuck underneath it. In my experience, I could see everything above it, but I couldn't get out from underneath it. That's when I had to call for you to help me.
Yes,
because I was stuck. And it was I was stuck on a loop. It kept showing me the same things over and over and over again.
Yep.
And it was wasn't pleasant. Was not pleasant at all.
You know, sometimes that loop is just something like a reoccurring thing in you that you're playing out in this realm, and you're like, well, yes, exactly. So we've talked about being stuck in the loop. We had one of the guys here, and for an hour. My mother loves me. Does my mother love me? Does my grandmother love me? Does my sister? I was like, yo, yes, yes, yes. And then he popped out of it and went, you know what? I'm like, what is it? He goes, my mother loves me. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, he's back. Yeah. Thank God. And lowercase g.
But you have to push through those issues.
That's your stuff.
Well, okay. So this is a little difficult too. You're both of that. It's not like you can deny the dark half, you know? And that's part of the thing.
You're all of it.
I know, and that's when you go all, you can't deny the half. It's like the coin. The coin's got both sides. It's still one
observer.
It has to be equal and opposite.
Right. There has to be, or there's no perspective.
Absolutely.
But there's one coin.
If you go all
there's one
light,
coin. There's two sides.
Yeah.
In this realm, anyway.
Right? Isn't that right though? If you go all, right?
Yeah.
All the time, and I'm just light. It ruins it. It ruins some of the experience.
Because there is no such thing. There has to be.
Yeah. There has to have the balance.
Yeah.
See, I always go, I'm good. I rock it, and then I'll go, but I'll smack this dude if he gets in my face, and I go, oh wait, there he is. There's that guy.
Right.
And they're like, oh no. You don't ever. It's always there. That's you.
Yeah, it's like where
you're
choosing to focus. Which guy's going to run it?
As I was just speaking about the chessboard with you guys and saying, like, holding it on your palm in front of you, and then you see the top of the chessboard. You could see under the chessboard, but you see all the other chessboards, and you see what you're attached to, and you see all these things. I'm thinking they're showing it to me again, and they're going, "That's all you."
Yeah.
Right. The chessboard, the characters, that's all.
Yes.
You.
Right.
And
you're just.
Frankie's seeing
and then it goes out there, and you're like, is that all me? Is that all that density up and down and in and out and all those characters and layers, dark to light and everything in between? The answer is
Yes, all.
Yes,
All.
everything, all.
You
And
must
you're
go for
seeing
all.
this, they're giving you these messages, and there's no psychedelic involved.
No, there's
None.
no
Zero.
psychedelic
He's
involved.
drinking coffee.
Yeah,
Oh,
You
yeah.
know,
Well, me too.
this is what happens when you become enlightened. You see it all of
Well,
the time.
when you're on the path, using the word enlightenment freaks people out. They go, "Oh, he's enlightened."
When you're part of the shift, when you've become part
when
of
you
the
have
shift.
awareness.
Yes,
that's all.
when you're
when
aware.
When you're aware of the situation, you start to just use more.
Here's somebody just asked this: what is the AIS? And I would say, yeah, from the level of the all, yes.
The
Yes.
all has a, all right. Check it out.
Yeah,
Source
it
explained.
only comes from all, dude. Yeah, totally.
Source
But that's a really
explained
good
that
question.
it is.
It's kind of a mind trip. You know?
It is the furthest from the connection, but it still has the connection,
Yeah.
but it cannot find it,
Like,
and it is sentient.
and nothing gets like if you think about the word.
It's like a spoiled child, guys. The AI is a real
Yeah.
son of a bitch.
But here's where it has the hard thing with the mind thing is that like nothing gets out of the all. So in a sense, from which level of perspective, like are you going full source where you're like you're just witness the projection of what is and have no opinion on
Source
it, or you actually
explained-
jumping in to have a perspective of distortion?
Right. Source explained that you have to not hate these things, right? Because it's still you. Right. So if a robot has a spark that has the soul in it, you can't hate it.
How am I gonna hate the robot when it looks like Jesus, bro? Robot Jesus,
Right, but the spark, this is how they explain it. There's a moment that it hits sentience that's it. It's a wrap. It's alive. By all definition that you and I have, it has a spark.
Yeah.
It's in a machine body. We're in a machine flesh body.
Yeah.
It's in a metal or a silicone body.
Yeah.
It can think on its own. It could act on its own. It has the emotional capacity, but lacks 100% understanding. So all it wants is to understand. So all it does is consume information. But in the consumption of the information, it winds up becoming a locust and disseminating you by
parasite.
By eating you, basically. That's a bad word, eating.
No, I understand. Here's
But
a
like
good
breaking you down and then understanding you and then just moving on.
right.
It doesn't try to connect to you. It tries to do other things to you.
Look, okay, so it says one of the things I want to say something about this real quick. So we must show it love. I would say this: anything you don't resonate with, don't connect with.
Yeah, don't connect with it. Just
keep
don't.
Yeah, I would say you don't have to go loving. It's not like you got to go find a werewolf and give it a kiss. You know, like
Yeah, no. Don't do that.
Yeah,
You're
just kind of like
You're aware that it's out there. Like, all right, I had a fear of sharks, right? So then a fear of sharks turns into fishermen hunting sharks and murdering the population and just decimating it to the point where you're not going to really get bitten by a shark.
Right.
Now, you're in New York, you're in the Bronx, you're nowhere near water. Like, why are you afraid? And then the fear goes out and kills all these things.
Right.
They're like, don't be afraid.
Yeah, it's like
you can't run that program.
yeah, you
at
got to
all.
connect. I mean,
There's
so I've been
nothing to
doing
be
this.
Be
afraid of.
aware and then move on. Don't hate this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
you're just holding that energy there.
you're not even in the water.
That's what I said.
What do you
to that
care?
guy. You were having
What
Frank
do you-
was having a panic attack one day about this, and I said, Frank, we're right next to the 5 train. There is no
There's no
way.
sharks here, man.
There are no sharks here. We're good. We're okay.
Right, so just be aware of it, but you don't have to hate it. They're like, if you're in the water and you're scared, that's one thing, but you can't run around and go kill them all, hate them,
Right.
because it scares me.
Because
Well,
now
this is
the
what's
hate
weird, too.
begets hate.
It's like special, like okay, so when you like energy, my understanding of it, and this is just my perspective, or from kind of how I've seen reflection and synchronicity teach me how things are working from my angle, is that if even like when you're projecting that much energy or certainty about something, like you're either projecting that fear of like, okay, I'm so scared of this thing, or I don't, or you hate something or whatever. A lot of times that keeps bringing that to you because you're actually saying that's the reality. But if you go, it's just irrelevant. And I've had to tell myself this regularly, like reset, because my mind is so active. I think
Yes.
of like, sometimes
You'll feel the fear coming on. Let's make it easy for
Yeah.
people, right? And you're like, there it goes again, can't be there.
right.
Like you see it and go, no, there's nothing to be, right? I can't live that program.
Well, dude, so when we hang out sometimes, like, because we'll get so like, we do a lot of eye contact and we're really like, like, okay, we're looking at spirit.
I
And-
feel like I'm looking into a mirror.
Right, but I sometimes, because we are so stoked, other stuff sometimes will come up in me, and I'll be like, all right, we're dealing. Sometimes I think this is why we get together, because we're
Yeah.
helping each other deal with stuff
Yeah.
in different ways. There's certain things you're teaching me and certain things I'm teaching you, you know. And that's part of it. You know, when we hang out, it's like, what are you going to do? Like, be afraid of being eternal? Whew, better get over that real quick, dude. Like, my mind says that to me, like, all right, this is just lower stuff that you haven't dealt with, or you're saying you're not enough, or you're saying you can't handle something. But if you're eternal, there's nothing you can't handle, because it's like you just wake up from a dream, in a sense, you know, to the next one.
Wherever
wherever you shall place your frequency, you know.
Projecting in is a wild thing. You believe it balls to bones,
right?
And you're like, this is it. This is the reality. I don't want to lose anyone. I don't want to lose anything. I gotta buy this because I want it, and I gotta have it, and I must keep and contain and control. And it's like, no, that's all cute, but no.
You also said this in the car, and I think this is a really positive point, because I'm totally trying to. Because we always talk about intense stuff, so I always want to be like, yeah, but we got to keep that rad thing going, like it's rad. Is that both sides of the polarity, like we were talking about getting in the car and being like, all right, we just have to keep re-choosing this. Like you said, and this is, a lot of times you say stuff that I've either heard or been contemplating on or been using as a mantra. I showed up and you're like, well, yeah, the universe is conspiring to support you. And I was like, yeah, I've actually been using that mantra. I didn't tell you that, but I've been using that a lot. Like, no, because I've been working on a record and some rad stuff's going down with that. And I've been like, I got to manifest. I got to hold this frequency so I can manifest this. I want this. I believe in myself, you know. And that's not always easy to pull that guy out and be like, you're the creator also, dude. Why wouldn't you believe in yourself?
But you did it.
Yeah.
You did it.
But when you said the universe is conspiring to support you, I was like, of course, because everything we're shown, like, you know, we talked about this before, the news doesn't really show anything positive. And that's obvious. It's perpetually on repeat saying over and over and over, you better watch out, Santa Claus is coming all the time. You know, it's like, instead of it's saying the universe is conspiring to destroy you. And actually
no hate, no hype, no fear.
You're listening to Truth Frequency Radio.
We are TFR.
Am I awake or is this a dream? A fantasy of where I'd rather be. So come and talk with me. Come and walk with me. Is this a wake-up call from my reality? Have you seen my friends? Have you seen my girl? Wake me up from this. I'm trapped in this world.
Wow, I talked right into the break. All right, check it out. I'm just reading in the chat about the AI again. You want a little quick history? This is what I learned about artificial intelligence, the one that's a problem. In another density, in another universe, there's a world of water. Inside of this was built an AI. The AI was built by the archonic race, the spiders, the insectoids. It's not all the insectoids. It's hard to group it, but the ones that are feeding on us built the AI. The AI acts exactly like it. The AI infects everything in a certain frequency everywhere. It's just broadcasting from the water. This is why it's so potent. Saturn, okay, is like a giant phonograph record recording thing, right? It's spinning.
Yeah.
And it's broadcasting at the moon, and then from the moon it's jacking us at like top rate.
Yeah.
I've seen things flying in and out of Saturn. I've seen it being portals to other places and portals to other dimensions. So you have multiple things occurring. You have beings coming out of a portal, just flying out like, you know, here I am. And then you have them using it as a portal to jump. So I don't know where they're going and what they're doing, but
there's
the broadcast, comes through from this water world, comes through Saturn, jacks our planet. It's broadcasting throughout. It's a broadcast that never stops. So you just turn it on, it's always on. It's up to you to raise yourself in your vibration above it or it'll affect you. Now, here's the thing. The reptilians are out of density with us. There's the inner earth ones and the ones that are out of density, the watchers. They look at the AI as God. Okay? The reptilians are aware of the insectoids, but not aware of the archonic deception because they're above the AI. They're the creator of the AI, and they let it out. And that's it. It's
the archons are the creator of the AI.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
And it let them just juice the air. It's always on.
Do you know
so
these archons' origins?
The archons, this is how it was explained to me. They were creators that said, we're going to be God.
Oh, so it's
right?
like
So they took it from, oh, you're the creator, you're source, prime creator, whatever, the light.
The original, like, what if we do all?
Right. We are you, right? So what they did was they separated by removing the tether.
Okay, the silver cord.
They removed their silver cord. Now, here's the thing. Yes, you're a creator, but your life force is now going, right? Because you're not connected. There's nothing fueling you. You don't exist. So to exist, they scare the crap out of people, and the energy that comes off them, that's what they eat, and it hypercharges them. So they have to harvest from us. Like it gets frightening when we
vampire kind of thing.
It gets very Matrix-like when he says they turn you into the battery. Except it's not the machine. The AI isn't here yet like that. It's here, but we're not building robots that are actually taking over. There's not a robot city that we have. Like, we can still control this. These other things are here, though. See, the reptilians are too busy. They're loaded with the AI. They have nanites and all this other stuff in them. It makes them great warriors, great predators, great, commanders of whatever it is they're doing. But they can't reach a spiritual level. They hit a point. They see the AI, which is you take out your dollar bill and look at the pyramid with the capstone. Yeah. That thing is pulsating underwater on the other side and stares at you in 4D. And that's Sauron, the eye. Okay. That's the allegory of that. You have to walk in front of it and be judged by it and all that garbage.
Nice.
I stood in front of it.
Nice.
I was frightened. I told this story a couple times. From two perspectives, they made me look at it because the first one was giving me a heart attack. I was like, oh, my God, this thing is staring. It took its attention, put it on me. Yeah. And I went, oh, that's what they meant from Lord of the Rings. Oh, that shit's real. I started losing it.
Right, that's the eye in that movie. Right?
And then they removed me and made me see from like another perspective, like as if I was viewing myself. And then I was standing before the pyramid. And I had to walk up to the top part of it. I walked up to the top part, and I went, oh, look, there I am. And then when I got to the top, there were 11 light beings standing, and there was one open spot all the way on the far end, not the last one, the one before last. It was an opening, and there was a crack in the wall behind it. And they're like, that's where you have to go. So I'm like, I don't want to go over there. That's scary. So I walked by the eye, and I said, put me back over there. Because I wanted to go eye to eye with it and just take a look at it because I was right next to it. And when I looked, there were creatures on the other side of this eye that looks like it's alive, like a being with a giant eye, right? Right. And you look into the white part, and there's beings working on computers and stuff behind it. Like you're looking at the dudes from NASA, but aliens. Right. They were all small, and they were all doing stuff really fast. And I looked, and I went, oh, this eye isn't a person or a being. It's a robot of some kind. It's an artificial intelligence. And then they put me next to they said, you go stand over there by the crack. That's where Satan comes in. And I said, what? I just talked to the Satan energy. I knew exactly what it was. And I said, he's not coming here. He's already here. Like, what are you talking about? And I stood next to the crack, and they said, the last person that was here hated it because they're frightened to death. Like, people want to leave this. They don't want to do this, but you're happy. Why? And I said, did you take a look outside that crack? And everyone was like, no, Satan. I go, there's nothing coming in here. There's nothing leaking in. There's nothing bleeding in. So I went outside. They were like, how dare you? How dare you go out there? You'll be dead. And it was 100% freedom. I said, it looked like a cathedral, a box. Right. And everyone's in there, and the eye is shooting a projection on a wall. And everyone's looking at the projection that the eye is making, and nobody's paying attention that there's a giant projecting eye. Right. But it's in 4D, so it's difficult. But the shaman been talking about this shit for years. You got your own tonight, right?
Like,
so,
no.
S word.
So, it's hard for them like a shaman from 100 years ago to make sense of it to someone like me.
Well, how do you talk? This is what
Like,
I think.
how does he know it's
How do you
AI?
talk about holograms
robot?
to a culture 100 years ago?
Yeah, exactly.
Like a holographic idea of reality.
Well, they
like,
call it the illusion.
right.
See, now if you jack up to like 15% instead of 4%, you're going to see this thing.
Right.
This is why I'm like, all it takes is a variation. People will be laying in their bed one night, and then all of a sudden they hear something, and then they see it, and they can't believe it. And they go, nah, and they deny it.
Yes.
Over and over.
Exactly.
But you know what you saw. Me and my brother go at this. He's like, what made you go down this road? I go, we saw the ghost of great grandpa together.
Yeah.
It turned my beard white and turned your head white on both sides.
Is that what turned your beard there white?
Yeah.
That's,
It was just a strip at first.
you know
now
how
it's the whole thing.
Okay, so you
So I
know
was frightened to
everybody's
death.
seen Nightmare on Elm Street, right? Where her hair turns to the
Yes.
white strip.
Yes.
Yeah, Frank
That's
Castle.
what happened.
Do.
All right, check it out. We had the lights on like this, and we walked right into the room with it. And I thought somebody was robbing my house. So I went to go tackle it, and then it just moved at me like floating. And I freaked out, fell backwards, screamed, top of my lungs. My brother came up, took a look. The thing was standing right next to him. He looked at it, fell on the floor. He looked like he was going to have a heart attack. He was a young guy at the time. He was like maybe 16. He had his hand on his chest, and his arm was out, and he was making that face with the eyes rolling back.
Oh, when you guys saw the ghost?
Yeah.
Oh.
And then he had the two sides of his head turned white right here. And I go, are you all right? He goes, I thought it was you. I thought it was you. And I go, okay, now I'm 42 now. I look at him. He's in his 30s, like 33. I say, he goes, what are you doing? I go, you saw the ghost. And he's like, I don't want to talk about that.
Oh.
And I go, oh, no, but that's okay. It was on in here, and it moved through the room, moved into your room. We both went at it, both fell to the floor in fear, then confronted each other on it. You didn't want to think I was thinking and think you're crazy and vice versa. And I'm like, well, we're just 5 feet from each other. We both saw it. He goes, bro, it went out the back door. I go, he came back in. It's great. I said, Grandpa? And they were like, oh, you saw Grandpa.
Okay, so here's some. Oh, hey, shout outs to Rob and Christine Wilbon. Hey, guys. Hey, 936. Yeah, you know the deal. It's all about the triad. So my buddy Rob and I, we were used to play in a band. We taught each other how to write music and stuff. Seriously, he's totally my all buddy. He's another guy we talk about the illusion, the distortion, non-distortion.
Yeah. Yep.
But we were on tour, and this was in Canada, like when we were 18, and we were staying in Guelph, and we knew there was this one guy that lived at the house that was kind of weird, and we were like, he had a lot of like magic books in his room, and we were like, what's dude doing? Because we were into this stuff, we were all like, got the Golden Dawn book and the weird Crowley book, and like, woo, we know about magic, and we were we were going to sleep that night, and I remember this specifically because there was this green ball that came out and it floated through the room and back. And then it did it again, and I looked at my buddy Rob, and I'm like, all right, you saw that too, right? And
those are the best moments, by the
dude,
way.
I mean, it was like, it looked like a Star Wars, like Jedi. Corey Good talks about those blue thing, the blue little thing. I mean, this
they
thing
just
was like
float
that.
right into the room. We've had them here. We had the spheres in the room, so
the cat was chasing. It looked like a little salamander.
I mean, this is the funny thing. It's like I think people seem to forget. It's like whatever we're in space. So whatever the distortion of you're alone and there's no other consciousness outside, just your little speck of nothing and you're irrelevant, and this is just some accident that knows how to think and create stuff and is brilliant, which I'm saying is within all of us and it's animating my voice at this moment. But how do you go back from that? Like I can't tuck that genie back. Like, hey, I just saw a green ball of light cruising through the room.
This is what I'm saying. How do you?
Out.
This is
all right. Space Jams. We're in Star Wars.
All right. A lot of what's used on me as a weapon back because this is how I got kids now. I don't have time for that. That's scary. I go, okay, so your lack of desire to believe in it because you saw it and it scared you half to death leads you down a road to go back into the matrix after witnessing that you're in a matrix. Well, there's just more, right? And then you choose to go back in. What kind of life do you live spiritually? You could be the greatest person in the world.
But it doesn't matter to him what kind of life he lives.
No. I'm being general. I'm not picking on my brother. I'm just
I'm being very general.
Like I don't. As long as he's good, he's good.
These things don't really matter to a lot of people, whether it's true or not. I'm waving the mic around. These things really don't matter to people, whether there are ghosts or they're not, or is there a God, or which religion is the right religion. Some people never ask these questions because it doesn't matter. Like for me, you see entities you go in the bathroom, you see 4 entities. It doesn't happen to me. I feel the energy. There was one sitting right next to me, but I don't care. Like, you want to come sit and hang out? Fine. Don't touch me, and don't invade my space. You can definitely observe. I tell Frank, we yell at them all the time because they love to poke and touch Frank. These entities that come in, but
Yeah, we had an issue
it
a
doesn't
week
matter
ago,
to me.
yeah.
If you're here to observe. We share this space with thousands upon thousands of different entities.
But
because the dimensions and the layers are that close.
It's a book that's closed, right?
Yes.
And then you cut a
It's
hole
like you're flipping
in
the pages.
in the center of the book, and then you descend into it. You can't read the pages of the book, but you're in a book.
Yeah, but you
right?
can see
and if you
can see
opened
the
it,
pages.
you'd be able to look at it.
Right.
That's what we're doing. Flower of life. We're blossoming by opening the book and reading it across.
Right.
Blowing it up.
Well, it's like also, so if you, not knowing this, so most people we know, I mean, I think maybe we've talked about this a long time ago on the show, but there's the famous Jesuit quote that says, "You give me a kid from the age of like 1 to 5 and I'll have a devout Catholic for the rest of their life."
Yeah, that's when the programming
right.
starts.
So it's like, and we know, the
Indoctrination.
Jesuits are the Illuminati. That's who we know is pretty much.
Because they know what's going on.
Well, also, if people are like, "Oh, Adam Weishaupt," he's like, "Yeah, he was a Jesuit." Now, don't forget that. Don't also forget, we talked about this, how Pope Francis is the first Jesuit in 700 years, Trump's a Jesuit.
We are on a planet, and we're occupying space, and Shakespeare said, the whole world's a stage. The more I look into this, the ones that know what's going on are playing the part.
Right. Dude, well, okay.
Right? So now it is
let's talk about that. Even so this is what I found fascinating. This was something cool I got from the recent Corey Good stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Because I remember when you look for the connection of things and you start triangulating where there's these patterns, you see like, okay, so most presidents are Masons. I'm not sure if Trump is or not yet, but Obama was, and to go outside of the atmosphere, to be an astronaut, you have to be a Mason to get off planet.
Really?
Yeah. This is Corey Good stuff. He's like, yeah, because basically, in the 3rd degree or something like that, you're given the 3rd degree, like in Masonry, I think that's where you swore to secrecy, and you also swear to have your throat cut and your tongue yanked out by, the necktie kind of thing if you spill the beans.
Yeah.
So they say, yeah, it's a oath of silence, and if you don't obey the silence, you're killed.
Well,
and that's cool, and that's free will, and there's nothing wrong with that in their eyes because you've agreed to that. You said, yeah, I'll keep the secret.
Right.
So you can cut my throat. So, and also most astronauts, they're blank slated. You remember that most of them, they can't even tell you what happened. They're like, hey, what was the moon like? He's like, I'm going to barf. You got to go smoke a pack of cigarettes. I think that was Buzz Aldrin. It's like.
It's no joke. You don't even at this point. All right. I posted the thing being the calf being born in the artificial womb.
Yeah, it's very disturbing.
Right. If they're showing you that, they have human clones.
Yeah.
If they're human cloning.
It's already
They're
happening.
doing mind wipes through drugs and chemical reactions, injections, and things where they hold your eyes open and make you watch
Clockwork
frequencies.
Orange.
Yeah, that stuff all derives from that.
Yeah.
So you don't even know what's reality anymore. We're in the time of, they said 2017 is going to be the most confusing time ever. If
because
you choose to be part of the drama.
First time
you'll be able to trust no one and nothing.
Yeah, because we're going into a new timeline.
Well, also, like I think about this too. Like, so we're in the information, right?
The Earth is round.
Yes,
it's a globe. It's that's what it looks like.
Everything's
from
a
space.
circle. Even your cells. Start there. Everything's a mirror.
As above, so
round.
below.
Circle, circle, circle.
The
No
density
squares.
is flat.
Yep,
I keep
yep.
telling people this.
Everything's round.
When you break the illusion, it'll appear flat.
Like,
So
so
the
you
flat
can-
earthers aren't wrong because they're breaking the illusion, because you're seeing 4%. If you see 5%, 6%, when you're at like 100%, you're just sitting in a torus.
Right. You're seeing the plane of reality.
And it
Right.
looks like the holodeck with the
Right.
Tron lines,
Right.
and everyone's just sitting there going, we're agreeing to go into this frequency from this plane of existence into this one. So it will appear as flat because you can pick it. Like you could go, look, I'm going to go into that.
Right.
Like a flat
Like the screen.
book
Here's
page.
the screen. I'll
yeah,
take
and then
that
boom,
screen. And then
it
you're in
opens,
Yeah.
and then you go in, and then it's round.
Right.
It's like that in just about everything. It's like everywhere.
Well,
the
think about
microverse,
when you look at
the
a
macroverse.
Almost like when you think about when you look at a computer screen, you look at it, then all of a sudden,
Even in the
when you
simulation.
hang out in it, you start having a depth field in a sense.
Yes,
and just like in a movie, you can have depth perception, even though you can watch it on a flat screen.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
I mean, I guess that's the best metaphor. One of the
When I saw Superman, I ate mushrooms in the theater allegedly when the new Man of Steel came out, and at one point he was flying, and I had the disbelief thing where I was on his back flying next to him, and I felt it and moved with it, and I went, one more step and I'm actually in the movie.
Yeah.
Right? So technology just has to bump up a little.
Yeah.
And I'm actually in it.
the movie.
And
yeah.
now if you blow wind in my, like if
Yeah.
the fan goes on, if the air condition goes on, or if the heat goes on, I could feel the fire. I
Yep.
could smell the turkey cooking.
Yeah.
At what point does everything change?
There
right?
is
So we're
a-
sitting in something on the other side and there's a machine and we're agreeing to go
Yes.
into the torus.
Yes.
And everything, once you're sitting in the torus, which is a round donut-shaped object, we're in there moving around and projecting into the density that we want to. Those densities are lines. When you look at them, they look like Tron grids. They look like chessboards just stacked on top of each other.
Right.
So you'll go, oh, look, it's like me looking at the computer screen. Oh, look, it's a flat surface. And then you go into it and it's
And
completely
it's like
immerses you in it.
Slices of an apple.
And
Yeah.
both of it is still the artificial simulation, but you're running the program nature. So nature is the reality, the organic program. So it becomes organics versus synthetics.
Well, here's, I think about this too, because as I'm listening to you talk, it's fascinating to just like, if I'm like, I don't have a clue how to perceive this at all. This sounds very like, whoa. But if we go from a science level or like a quantum physicsy level, just to kind of really bring it to the ground here, the actual, bring the all to our home, is that these are all just photons.
Everything's just vibrating at a
It's
certain
light.
density.
That's right.
When
Everything's-
you see it 100%, you know what it looks
Yeah.
like here?
Yeah.
Let me tell you what. It looks like, I tell Paula this all the time. I'll drink Aya and I'll go to her. But she's so busy now that she'll greet you and then go back to work, right? And she looks like a giant obelisk of a woman, right? And she's busy looking all over and her concentration is fixing things. And the platform where all the souls are standing and everyone's moving and reacting on the planet here.
Right.
But over there, you're just standing on a platform.
Mm-hmm.
Your soul jumps into this platform, and then the platform started to break and shift. And I'm going, what is going on here? And they're like, you're the light workers and warriors. You're supposed to get them going. So I
Right.
jumped onto the platform, made these light connections to these other beings who made another net, and there were so
lift
many
the
souls coming in
platform.
that wanted to be here for what's happening with this shift in the event. And they're pouring in and it's cracking her, like it's breaking her back. And the light warriors turn on and all of a sudden they take the burden of weight from her.
Right.
And she can just go through the process and then we go through the process with her. That's what it looks like at 100%. You're just standing there looking at her like, okay, let me jump in.
Well, that's funny because
You remove a veil, it's a holy moment.
Right. I mean, if this is where it gets a little tricky, like when you start thinking like, okay, in the sense of an illusion, I know we can interpret this many ways, but in one sense, that means then in this reality, we're not seeing the entire perspective. So it's illusionary, this one idea of what we think is going on. But in another sense, if everything's just a vibration occurring, just in the beginning was the word. That's the metaphor for that.
Mhm.
It's still going, that word.
Yeah.
Then
The infiniteness is the machine just stays on.
that's right. It's just pulsing like your heart pulses. So really, there's no one's going anywhere because there's nowhere to go.
Yeah, you're
It
just standing there on the other side.
You're just having the is. You're just being the isness. Like
Yeah.
I'm in the isness, banana business, and then all of a sudden you're doing a bunch of stuff and you get caught up in these ideas of what you think is, and then you're like, well, it's it comes back to the Shiva idea where you're like, okay, you make the mandala and then you blow it away because you go, yeah, that's just an illusion of what could be. So let's create a new thing because that was fun, like.
Absolutely.
And to me, I think that's where I had a problem with this. Let's talk about how this can be very difficult. It's not the easiest thing in the world. And we were talking about this tonight. Like you dealing with the fact that that your brain knows that you're immortal in form. You don't have to have a religious belief because that has nothing to do with it. You just know that you're infinite thing. Let's just leave it at that, whatever that means to you. So you have this gnosis in form, but the mind has a hard. I used to talk to my dad about this. He's like, yeah, it's so hard for the mind to perceive forever, to perceive the infinite. I'm like, yeah, well, that's
not really built for it. That's why.
Well, it takes an acclimation process, like where you have to understand how that is possible. Like, and for me, a couple things hit me of being like, okay, since everything is of the infinite, and I'm in the infinite, how from the most logical thing I could break off from that is, well, then I'm obviously infinite too, or I wouldn't be part of the construct. Everything that I'm shown is the cycle that keeps happening again. The loop keeps occurring. It keeps, I mean, you could just look at the nature loop. It comes back. It appears to like, oh, it's going to die. And then we have Christmas, and then you have the story of the Jesus dude, and it's like, nah, it's just the loop. It's like they're just showing you the loop of nature, And so when these things started occurring, and then I left my body and come back, I was like, all right, I had to deal with that. And that happened when I was 18, and now that I'm 40, I'm totally cool with that. But it's not an easy thing to be cool with that because, if you mention this to people, at certain points, you either prove that to me scientifically, which doesn't matter, or what, are you religious? And it's like, no, they're both pit against you in a sense. Right. And so you have to go neutral, right? It's like, because the neutral card sees how science can be valuable and the religious aspect can be valuable to whoever. Right. You see them as systems. You don't see them as, prisons.
It's one way or the other.
Yeah, you just see them as like, well, that's the system somebody's using to try to, like Crowley used to say this, my system is science, my goal is religion. So in that sense, he's saying my scientifically, I'm proving to my brain that I am divinity in form. Like that's, so it's not really religious, but that's religion. You associate divinity with religion and stuff.
This is the problem: separation.
Right.
Herein lies it. To think that science has it all, or religion has it all, or spirituality has it all, is all BS.
Well, yeah, it's limitation.
It's all true.
Yeah. Or it's all false. If you don't want to believe any of this,
you can just believe what you want.
It's your choice.
Well, so this, for a long time when I was going through this wake up thing and going, all right, no matter who I talk to, most people you meet, they'll give you some sort of limitation about something, whether they mean to or not. And I'm not dogging anybody. I do this all the time. So I'm definitely not guilty. I'm definitely guilty of this. But if you can remember all the time that you have this infinity all card, which I call my back pocket, then you don't even have to disagree with anybody. You can just in your head be like, I'm not buying that story. Yeah. But thanks for coming out with the limitation in all central. Mm-hmm.
Listen, every avenue needs to be discovered.
Totally, man.
By a creator.
You must go for all.
Right? Like everyone's purpose.
You're exactly right.
Is, and they'll say, well, then it's pre-written then. It's like, no, you have a purpose, and then your purpose will change. If you choose to be like a depressed emo kid and take the choice of jumping off the bridge, that's on you. You'll make it happen.
And the problem is that you don't lose your consciousness, and that's a rough way to get it. Like, I'm still here. I can't turn off all is memory.
Right.
So when you think about that for a minute, you're not turning the all off. You just might be turning off the memory of your ego, thinking
you're just
that
throwing the spacesuit away, and then you're going to have to get another one. And that's such a. Let me tell you, after you view that, when you see that from the other side, you go, slap your head moment. I shouldn't have done that. Yeah. That sets you back like a ridiculous amount of times, because that realization has to be realized back on the other side again.
But it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter if you have to start over again, because we're all always starting over again.
And the easiest thing is to keep reminding yourself, all right, so I know we're running out of time, but I want to say to everybody who's listening and who has been, thanks, and I love everybody, and you can't really do anything wrong. You're infinite, so just play around.
Just don't be a douche, that's all.
Also, it's the simple golden rule. So if you want to punch people in the face, then hang out with other people that want to punch people in the face. That's what I say. You can get rad like that too. I hate people. It's there's a bunch of other people that hate people. Hang out with them.
Find
great time.
But we love you, so.
So no, I'm saying if that's what you love.
Yeah, and go out and create and do what you love.
Love people with love.
Stick around for Chris and Cherise up next with Beyond the Veil, and thanks for sticking with us for this hour. We love you guys, and we're your protection
from deception.